I had been a diaper lover for as long as I could remember. Seems there was something about the padded crinkly fabric and fasteners that pulled me closer. Some gravity which was implanted early that I couldn't escape but had to abide by. As I entered my late teens, I went and grabbed my first package of adult disposable briefs, better known as diapers. I remember how hot in the face I was going and getting them, feeling great excitement but also a vague sense of shame and nerves. It was just after the big earthquake had hit in Japan, I recall, and I stuffed the newly acquired undies into my top drawer before sitting down to watch the news. As I entered my mid-20s, I had the growing sense that the diapers were going to become a regular part of my life rather than something I did only on the weekends or to relieve a little stress. They began to feel like more than a comfort blanket which I could fasten on and drizzle into while I watched Korean soaps with my pug. No, they began to feel like an extension of my own body. Something felt off if I wasn't wearing one to bed every night, even if I didn't always end up using them. I was beginning to use them more at night though, and this disturbed me as much as it enthralled me. I would wake up and silently dribble while in a half-awake haze, before dozing off again. I thought if I kept on this way, I'd surely end up a bedwetter eventually, but it seemed like a far-off possibility. Until one night recently. I woke up in the morning after a deep sleep and noticed my padding was a bit thicker. It didn't really register at first what happened or the significance of it. I got up to go to the other side of the room to let my puggle in, and I looked down at my legs and crotch for a moment, noticing the wetness indicator on my diaper was blue in some areas, and nearly invisible in others from so much wet. I laid down in bed again and pulled the sheets up close to me, enjoying the warmth that lingered from my long time spent in bed, and presumably wetting myself helplessly, the night before. I opened the window slightly and let the cool spring air dance on my form, caressing my face and curling around my blankets, unable to penetrate them while my pug stood guard. Well, more like laid down guard, as she was nestled up next to me, with her head underneath my chin. I think she was already asleep. I searched my memory banks, trying to remember if there was a point when I woke up. I couldn't think of anything, my mind was blank. I really must have slept through the night and released into the waiting diaper. It began to dawn on me that this was pretty serious. I had actually lost control of my bladder for a while. I knew I'd have to put on another diaper that night, regardless of if I wanted to or not. It's better to be protected rather than pee your sheets. Was that the last time I wet the bed without any warning? Far from it. I ended up wetting the bed again a few nights later while wearing only panties. It was terrible, and I immediately regretted not wearing protection when I woke up to chilliness and a ruined mattress. I made sure to fasten on my M4S snugly that night, and with extra powder too. Before long I was wetting almost every night. The original excitement of having lost control was replaced with a sense of normalcy. The sagging yellow mushy butt was a regular part of my morning routine after a while. A few months later, I met a guy and we started dating, though he was a bit put off by my aloofness. I was hesitant to have him hear my secret. I especially didn't want him to reach out, eyes closed, and feel my secret in the middle of the night. We weren't sleeping together. After a month, I had to tell him. I wear, well, diapers to bed, at night only because I need them. What? Really? He said, seemingly taken aback. Yeah, I bit my lower lip and looked up at him pleadingly. I felt a little guilty to lie, but I think the truth in this case would have been too outrageous to place out there. Maybe someday. Or perhaps I wouldn't tell him anything, I wasn't sure. I have to think about it, he blurted out before continuing. I mean, you wear a diaper, I just haven't had to deal with that before. Yet it's a lot to take in, I replied coolly, sensing that our relationship might be over with a tinge of sadness. Are you wearing your diaper now? He asked absent-mindedly. They're only my undies for at night, I said light-heartedly, trying to recapture the mood lost. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's not so bad then, he replied. To make a long story short, we ended up staying together. Yes, he sleeps at my back and doesn't mind my diaper. Well, maybe it bothers him a little bit in the morning when we've just gotten up. You catch a whiff of diaper wafting from under the bed sheets, coaxed along by the warmth of our bodies. Luckily the stench of my night panties doesn't have a very long sillage. Seems like when I crawl into bed with him the next night you'd never know. He still hasn't heard my secret. Maybe someday. At least he's okay with his girlfriend being only mostly potty trained. Most young women aren't exactly